Hello everybody, hello, welcome. This is ThyCompany here on ThyCompany Gaming. Making a video here as an announcement that today is my 30th birthday. Uh, it's a number that's hard to, come to mind, but it is what it is. Um, but birthdays has always been kind of a tough thing for me to think of and really want to, it's tough and difficult for me to keep in my mind because of some problems I've had in the past. And this video here is meant to kind of talk about some things and then talk about, I guess, what's to come in the future. Um, so yeah, 1995 is my birth year. So I can imagine people saying, "Oh, ThyCompany, you're so old, right?" But I try to look as young as I can. I don't know. It's just what comes to mind is that I feel like I've really been celebrating, well, always kind of like birthdays up until about 15, 16 years old. I had one birthday. And Choppa knows more of the details to the story, but basically I had a birthday. I think I was like 15 or 16 at the time. So basically sophomore in high school. We had these two girls who invited, didn't want to invite nobody else because one of the girls happened to really like, the other one was like basically a backup in case of anything. Um, and everything was good. I remember considering to be like among the best birthdays I had. And at that time, I thought it was like the best birthday ever. Um, Yeah, because we were kind of like were at home for a little bit, then we went to some arcade or something. And I'm trying to remember everything here. But essentially, there was a girl who I really liked, right? And later, after the birthday, to kind of give you all a little bit of history, I kind of talk about this more on like a Valentine's Day issue, but basically, I tried to get with this girl for 2 years in high school, right? I feel like this is among the worst mistakes I've ever done. 2 years trying to get with somebody is crazy. Um, Yeah, and I kind of thought that was like the best birthday ever. And then the girl moved away my junior year, and I didn't really have any way to talk with her. And I always felt like kind of after that, things started kind of going downhill. It must have been my 16th birthday when the good birthday party was. And then, this one I'm just telling you about, I was probably 16 at the time. And then the next birthday, I turned my 17th birthday. Uh, I was cussed out on my 17th birthday, and I didn't really like it. I won't, I've basically forgiven what happened at that time. But ever since then, I've kind of decided to stop thinking about birthdays. I kind of like, stop recognizing birthdays, my birthday particularly. And then things kind of just started getting crazier after that. I always felt like, ever since that birthday, things have been getting wilder, weirder, and like worse. um, you know, losing contact to that girl, the second girl who I mentioned as a backup, she started becoming not really somebody who I liked at all. She started having drinking issues and then became somebody who I was not attractive, not attracted to at all. Um, and then you turn 18 and then everything, you basically become an adult. Things get thrown at you. Okay, all adult duties. As soon as I turn 18, it's like the hammer came down, slammed at you. You gotta get a job. If you don't get a job, you're gonna kicked out of the house. You gotta learn how to drive a car. If you don't learn how to drive a car, you're gonna get kicked out of the house. So, that's unfortunately kind of traumatic. And then, you get a job and all that. Okay, that's kind of when I started working at the movie theater. Then, having to work on your birthday is not fun. I've done that many times. It's not fun. It makes you depressed. And then sometimes at work, they'll be like, oh, you can just take the day off and go home. And, that kind of brightens your mood. But at the same time, you go to work because you need money. But what else, man? Yeah, and then kind of things have changed quite a lot over the years. People passing away. My uncle passing away, a cousin passing away. That made me pretty, upset. Um, yeah, a lot of family passing away. Um, and now, I'm kind of in this situation, looking forward now that I'm 30 years old. I got more responsibilities I got to do. I even remember right around when I was like 18, I got pretty ticked off by these comments that I was getting back then. People were telling me, "Oh, you're 18 years old. You have to, by the time before you even turn 18, you have to have a wife. You have to have several kids. You have to have several cars in your name. You got to have a car. You got to have a truck. You got to have a career. You have to make over 100,000 a year." And these like wild things that kept being thrown at me. And the saddest part was like I was noticing a lot of people who I went to high school with back then were basically getting that done. And I suspect the only reason that was the case was because the area where my high school was at was kind of more of a upper class, richer area, part of uh, part of Charlotte. So I got people saying, "Wow, that's really emotional." Yeah, it's just I don't know how to explain it other than my 16th birthday. The reason I really had that birthday was because I tried to invite a girl who I was really into back then over to my house to basically hang out, was what I was calling it. And I was not able to hang out with her at all prior to then. But things never worked out. She moved to a different place, and then I don't know. Kind of feel like things kind of went downhill from there. That's kind of like the biggest thing. You go from a birthday you think is the best birthday ever to a birthday you think is the worst birthday ever to over the years basically having to go to work and not being able to do anything really. And then my little sister gets born on my 21st birthday. And from there, I basically decided that I would just convert this day to being her birthday rather than having any focus of it being, my birthday. And that's pretty much what I've been doing ever since. Because, over the years, kind of, we also kind of grew up kind of poor. My dad will always, well, person who I keep referring to as sped dad. He never really had any money. The only money that really we made was for whatever my mom was making. She went to go to school. She was a waitress for many many years. But she did happen to meet some big names in Charlotte when she was a waitress. And then she went into nursing. She was an ICU nurse. So that's kind of what, it kind of helped us out. But being poor, you kind of eventually learn to not really want anything. You don't expect anything. Um, That's why, I notice all these people wanting material things. Hey, I want the new, there's a good example. I want the new Nike shoes. I want the Air Jordan shoes, for even back when I was in high school, even till now. Most of the kids I keep hearing, they want material things, man. They want, the new hot clothing brand. I want the new, cool car. So, and unfortunately, I've gotten to the point where I don't expect anything. And I hate to ask people for stuff too, but over the years, you kind of learn and get acquainted to what it's like not having stuff. But yeah, going forward, now I got to think about it this way because now I'm technically in my 30s, right? I'm 30 now. Now I got to get all that stuff that people have been telling me back when I was 18 to get done before I was 18. Now I got to get that done in my 30s. So this got to be done. Find a wife, you got to have kids, you got to have multiple cars in your name. The only thing that I feel like I've done that I can say is that that I'm guess I'm kind of happy about, but I'm not super ecstatic. I happen to have a car that I consider to be a good car. It's not super expensive, but it's interesting where it's like expensive enough where it's like I feel like I'm not poor by having the car. Um, but there's so many other things, man. It's like, health things I wish I could get done. I gotta lose a bunch of weight. I don't even feel like talking about my weight right now, but I know I gotta lose weight. Uh, I gotta save up money to buy a house. I feel like if I don't have a house, and it's not like I want a house at this point. I want a house so I can take care of my grandparents, man. That's like one of the things. Because I'm kind of, they're in a situation where they're renting an apartment. They could move back in with my mom, but around 2015, kind of like the time after my 17th birthday where things kind of went crazy, they moved out from my mom's place into an apartment. Um, kind of want to get a house so that they can live more comfortably. Especially my grandfather. He's turning 89 December 7th. I gotta be. I know people are saying, dude, there's no way you gotta think you gotta lose weight. I gotta lose weight. The most I've ever weighed, and it's kind of tough for me to talk about weight. The most ever I've weighed is probably like mid 270s. I'm right now in mid 260s. When I was in ninth grade, I weighed 225. Because of that girl, the girl who I was talking about for my 16th birthday, I lost 25 pounds, and it was only because of her because I wanted to get with her. Then she moved away, and I started gaining weight again. I'm trying to basically, if my weight regarding the weight, I'm trying to get under 200. I would think I would be accomplished if I got down to under 200. So like 190s would be fine with me. So to answer that weight question, I don't want to talk about weight anymore. You'll basically start seeing me trying to lose weight again. Sometimes I've been able to lose a good amount of weight. A few years back, I lost like 40 pounds from fasting. So I know I can do it again. Um, but yeah, I gotta lose weight, man, because I feel like if I really am trying to find a relationship, I don't think I'm the type of person who I'm looking for is gonna go for someone who weighs 260 something. So if I just have to be real with that. But it's something like I can get down. I know I can get down at 220s because I've done that before. Um, it just takes time, man. It's the fasting thing. You won't believe how difficult that is. The other problem is I gotta do more exercising, which is the tough part. Can be done, but it takes forever, man. It's like I remember even back in high school, like I was overweight. One of the big issues with the girl who I liked, she started dating this guy who was another person who attended the school we were at. The guy was considered a boxer. His diet was basically eating chicken and drinking milk or something like that. It was so strange, basically, high protein. Um, she wasn't with that guy for too long. She was maybe with him for like a year, but still, it was long for me. But yeah, she moved away, and I hate talking about this because this is more for like a Valentine's Day video. Um, she ended up dating then marrying this redneck guy who basically went into was I think he's from a rich family or something. He basically went into construction. She went into nursing because every single girl is like, you got to go into nursing or find yourself a husband. Kind of that's what it's like here. I don't know about other places, but she ended up marrying that redneck American guy who had a bunch of money, went into construction. Then she decided to become the guy's realtor. We have a bunch of kids, and I try not to think about them basically. And it's been years. Like it was an issue where 10 years ago I kept thinking about him too much, and I was like, thankfully now I don't think about it. But I hate thinking about birthdays because that starts to come up in my mind. Um, but yeah, apparently, according to what people have been throwing at me nonstop, is I have to have a wife, a career, cars, make over 100K a year, I don't know. The other thing is like, that's what people be throwing at me, right? Be yelling at me. You won't believe the amount of people who's like, you gotta find yourself a wife. ThyCompany. It's not even just that, man. I want to, it's like certain things take more priority than others. I think the first thing I'm going to try to do is the weight thing. Um, we'll see how that goes. Because if I can't get that down, man, the only other option I can think of is you might see me being part of a member of a church or something. I don't know. I could see that possibly being done. Thigh company working at a church, maybe. Who knows? Um, but then there's like, things that would like to get done within the future. Definitely would like to get this channel monetized back again. We'll see where that goes. Besides that, I gotta figure out what to do. I know for New Year's, what we're gonna do is we're gonna try one of our next projects is to try to get out of this room and get into that room. So maybe you'll see me having a different setup next year. Who knows? Also, I worry about my grandparents. I was gonna mention that too. More about my grandfather than my grandmother, but both of them I worry about a lot. Just think, and I'm still kind of optimistic for now, but I have a grandfather who's handicapped. My biological dad, I haven't seen him in many years. I want to somehow go down to Georgia to meet him, but I don't know how they get that done because I have a like a kind of crazy grandfather, a crazy dad, and a crazy sister, and I have no way to really go down to see my dad. So who knows what to do about that? What's the other thing? Yeah, would be nice if I could figure out how to get eBay going, but the only one way I found out about helping with the money was not really a good thing to do. Um, yeah, so hopefully eBay, if that can get into business, that would be nice. Get back into maybe doing something that would make, basically more money. Who knows what that would be. But yeah, looking down, I guess the last part I wanted to talk about is just looking at in the future. Um, you know, my thoughts are, what direction are we going to go into? Um, Certain things, I guess, do come to mind. I don't know if I'm ever going to get those other languages that I used to learn back in school or any new languages learned. Um, like, I used to study French, Spanish kind of being the one I got most advanced with. Um, Not sure about French. I don't think French will. I kind of I'm doubtful about French, but if I ever get to learn Spanish again and get back to being somewhat knowledgeable in Spanish, maybe even fluent, that would be cool. Um, what else, man? I kind of hope like going to Russia and then the whole environment in Russia gets better. We'll see what happens in the future. Um, looking back, I don't know where I'm going to be, of course. I'm just thinking back when I was 20. When I was 20, I think I was still working at the movie theater, maybe. Probably was. And looking at the people who was working with me, man, a lot of them I was not crazy about, but there were a couple I was friends with. Um, it would be nice to be a business owner, man. I would be happy doing that, man. Also, being financially independent would be cool, but who knows? But yeah, guys, I just pretty much wanted to wrap things up, kind of tell you all about this, being turning 30, which is crazy to think about. It's not a number I can register in my head, man. You're gonna see me. It's gonna take forever to get that number in my head. Because for a long time, man, sometimes I even forget, man. Even back when I was in my 20s, I'd forget that I'm in my 20s. Now I gotta, think in my head I'm in my 30s. I know there's gonna be people like, you're 30 years old playing Roblox. It's not me playing Roblox. It's just me trying to have fun and relax, man. That's really what it is. But maybe I'll talk more about it. Who knows, guys? But yeah, guys, I just want to talk to you all just about, happy birthday, I guess. Feel free to send in those happy birthday things. messages and all that. If you want to write it down, I would appreciate it. But yeah, guys, just pretty much wanted to wrap things up, kind of tell you all about what's going on, kind of make an announcement. Um, just keep you all posted, man. Other than gaming, my I like drawing as well. I like art, but I don't even know what else, man. Because even like the other day, tried talking with somebody new, meeting a new person. I asked them about what they like. They like crazy high intensity, like scary game stuff that like I don't really like. I'm not a huge fan of. Things that are going to give you nightmares at night. I don't like that at all. But yeah, guys, just pretty much wanted to let y'all know, give y'all a heads up. But yeah, guys, if you have not already done so, make sure you do subscribe to ThyCompany. Subscribe to ThyCompany Gaming. We'll give y'all some more updates as well. Also, just as a quick note, we are trying to get to 70,000 subscribers. Help us out with that if you can. Otherwise, guys, thank you all so much for watching today's video. We'll see y'all next one. Peace out and take care.